So I run out of the store, but I said, if Skippy can sell deer urine, maybe we can teach flight instructors how to do a better job at customer service. So we started doing that. And the things we're talking about, and we can't talk about them all today for a couple reasons. One, I only have a short time. Two, we're running a little bit late, and I don't want to get between you and the bathroom, as I said. But we talk about first contact, how you handle those calls, selling your flight school, selling the equipment you have at the flight school, selling the simulation, selling the programs that you have at the flight school, and, of course, selling your services as a flight instructor and why this is going to be the best place to train. We talk about dealing with regression and handling AAA personalities like all of us have, and building that PIC ship and stick and rudder skills at the same time. We're doing automation management, all that kind of stuff we talk about in terms of their customer service. As a way of talking about this, first contact, I called 8 flight schools before I did this presentation. I called them on Friday. Some of them were yours. And I asked a question. I said, hey, I'm a commercial helicopter pilot. I got about 500 hours, and I'm thinking about getting a 172 so I can commute to the Gulf, for my job. What's it going to take for me to get a private pilot certificate in an airplane? Can you tell me that? Can you tell me that? Can you tell me that? And the survey results are, one of the schools didn't answer the phone, didn't leave a message either. 3 said they would have someone call me back. Only one of those did. In Texas, they would say, this is your problem right here. And except for one person out of the 8, all of them assured me it would be the FAA minimums of 40 hours. Now, one of those people did say, well, they were 141, so it would be 35 hours, but they can't do it under 141 because it's an additional rating, and you can't do that under 141. I said, okay, that's good to know. All of these people could use some first contact training. So you need to ask yourself, if customer service is at the core of your business, and your instructors are the front line of your customer service, if they don't do these things well, they suck. Let's talk about technical competence. 25% of the applicants showing up for flight tests with me could never start the test because they weren't qualified to begin the test. Let me say that again. Nearly a quarter of the people who would show up for flight tests with me, we couldn't start the test because they didn't meet the basic FAR requirements. So I said, I know what I can do. I'll start a FERC. So we teach instructors what those requirements are. We get them up to speed. We'll do a little customer service training. We'll do some first contact training. We'll get all those ideas together, but mostly we'll get their technical competence up to speed. We did that, and I did that over about 3 years, did about 500 people. And as part of this FERC, we did a pre-test. And the pre-test on the subject was just to focus them on the subjects because, as you know, all us pilots and flight instructors have the attention span of a gnat. So if we can focus on a little pre-test, and it didn't count, by the way, just focus on the pre-test. Now we're thinking about this topic. We can then go on to get a little more deep into the material. About 8% failed the pre-test. Oh, wait. I got to change that slide. About 8% passed the pre-test. And we're talking about basic stuff now. What an eye-opener for me. I thought this was going to be a top-level refresher. It was really a start from the bottom, go to the ground up way to try and get people in 2 days of comedy flying school up to speed on some of the basics. I'll give you another example. I do initial CFI tests as well. My experience has been that the CFI technical knowledge is, to say the least, poor. And I'm being as kind as I can possibly be, even with my version of aviation Tourette's that Jerry talked about. I'll give you some examples of that. First, as warm-up questions, I ask the people when we're talking about fundamentals of instruction now, and there's a question about intensity. And I say, okay, what's the FAA mean by intensity? Now, I know you're not supposed to ask, if anybody here from the FAA? Anybody here from the FAA? Anybody here from the FAA? Should have found that out ahead of time. Okay. I'm not supposed to ask rote questions like, what does the FAA mean by intensity, right? But sometimes you need some warm-up questions. I learned this from one of the very first designated pilot examiners, and we're going to see him at work right here.
What is your name?
My name is Sir Lancelot of Camelot.
What is your quest?
To seek the Holy Grail.
What do you mean by intensity? No, it's one of my heroes, by the way. Okay, the answer, right? Typically, being a warm-up question like, what's your favorite color? Most people get it right. One person recently actually said to me, you know, it's when something is really intense, dude. Oh, I can't make this crap up. I just can't, I couldn't do it. You know that 82% of the people voting in the presidential election are not voting for the candidate because they like that candidate. They're voting against the other candidate. Did you know that? 82%. You know where I got that number? I made it up, like everybody else does. Okay.
There's a difference between charting a steady course and pushing for the ceiling. And for nearly a century, Hartzell Propeller has been defining that difference. It's in our passion for engineering and research and our dedication to testing the limits of performance. We are built on honor. We are Hartzell Propeller.
The Bristol Light Sport aircraft is what you are looking for. The Bristol is wider than a Cirrus, faster than a Skyhawk, offers more storage than a Husky, and comes standard with Garmin avionics. So what are you waiting for? Visit Bristol.com to find out how you can get into a Bristol today.
So, this guy says, you know, it's really intense, dude. Now, my outside voice, my examiner voice is, okay, would you like to expand on that a little bit? You know, more? No, that didn't work. Okay, we'll move on, and we'll come back to that a little bit later. Of course, my inside voice is going, I can't believe you just said that, okay? One, dude. Don't call me dude. My generation invented dude. You just can't hijack the word and use it against me. I don't know when we invented it. It was a long time ago when I was in school learning, don't use an adjective that is the same word to describe the noun I'm trying to get the answer to. But I don't. Okay, we'll move on. I'll give you another example of stuff. One of the questions that I asked that isn't wrote is, tell me how you will help learners develop long-term memory of important items. In other words, there is a question in the FOI about going from short-term memory to long-term memory. I know you don't remember that, but there is, okay? And I asked this question, and most of the time, I get that same look that that cashier gave me. And it goes on for a while. And I'm quiet, I'm waiting, I'm doing something else in my head at the time. And time goes by, and the Jeopardy clock is going off in their head, and eventually they shout at anything. So now I'm asking a question, and I find this ironic. I'm asking a question about memory, and the number one answer that I get after about 30 seconds is, can you repeat the question? It's not just bad because they don't know the answer to the question. It's bad because they don't know how to handle not knowing the answer to the question. They haven't been trained on how to deal with an oral evaluation. So if they're not trained, how well do you think your applicants are going to be trained? I don't understand that in 2016, that they don't know how to duck a question, because certainly the two presidential candidates have shining examples. I'm not going to mention which one, but one of the presidential candidates was asked, well, you know, there's been discussion about how foreign governments paid donations to your foundation in order to get access to the State Department, and the answer was, it was beautiful. I'm glad you brought up the foundation. This foundation has done tens of millions of dollars of work helping people all over the world. It goes on for about 30 seconds, and I'm going, that wasn't the question. But was it a good job? It was an excellent job of sidestepping the question, and we can't even teach people how to do that. All you got to do is watch the news. So my point is here, if applicants continue to have large gaps in their knowledge, guess what? Your flight instructors suck. And you got to do something about it. Why? Okay. What I'm going to do, I started going VFR direct to the applicants because trying to get it filtered through the instructors who are, like I said, touch-and-go employees with very different motivations than you have. So I wrote the book, 20 Ways to Fail Your Flight Test, the other 9 questions, FARs for people who actually might need to know them. And of course, I'm finishing one that says, why you suck as a flight instructor. It's not about you, but it is. Those will probably be available all on Amazon by Christmas. Somebody asked me when they were coming out, and I had to admit, it takes an unusually long amount of time to publish a book when you just keep dragging your feet and not doing it. So, but all the little pieces are in place, and we'll do it. That's what I'll do for you. For your part, there's good news. You're going to have these flight instructors a little bit longer because now the airlines everybody has to have an ATP before they move into the right seat. The bad news is, of course, you're going to have these people a little longer. So they are going to have a huge, huge impact on your success. Or should I say, huge, huge impact on your success. The biggest impact ever, I'm just saying. And you say to yourself, so what? You know, is this a waste of time? Is it good enough? And of course, the real question you have to ask yourself, if the bar is this low, how good do they have to be for me to be better than the guy next door? I don't really know. That's a question for you guys to answer. They're your schools. But I'll give you the so what. So what if your instructors got a little better at their job? And by the way, those resources are out there. You know, if you pay my way and let me fly, I'll come and talk to them. The reason, by the way, that I've talked at every migration is I don't charge anything, and all I want is lunch. So it works out. But if you can just get a 10% increase in your customer satisfaction, that's going to turn into increased profits for you. There's no doubt about it. You know it's going to happen. So is that worth it to you? Well, I have a suggestion. Maybe your instructors are all top-notch. I don't know. You know, hopefully they are. Maybe they suck. I don't know. Hopefully they don't. But if you assume that that certificate that they have in their wallet creates any kind of competency about customer service skills or technical knowledge, well, your thinking may be just a touch sophomoric. All right. Some closing thoughts. Those were the reasons your flight instructors might suck. I have my own reasons about why I suck as a flight instructor, but that would take twice as long in the presentation for me to go through those. I just want to clean up two last points. Intensity. It's when you use all your senses to deliver the point. Sight, sound, touch, etc. Okay? And how do you turn short-term memory into long-term memory? You do it by intensity, association, application, practice, practice again. And if you want the bonus answer that will get you through the entire question, use the effing syllabus. It ain't no rocket surgery. I'm just saying. That's all I got.
Aero-TV is brought to you by...
The dream is real, a truly affordable personal jet aircraft. The Subsonics Personal Jet Kit is priced at only $42,000. Kit plus engine is still under $100K. Add instruments, upholstery, and paint and you're flying. It's time to put your money where your bucket list is. Learn more at SonicsAircraft.com.